So, in the last session we were discussing the marketing strategy for TTK, which has been a well established company with a well established brand of prestige pressure cooker, but we discussed their problem. The problem was that they sort of their growth was already stagnating, even though the brand, both the product brand as well as the corporate brand were almost 60 years old, they were not seeing much of growth. So, in 2001 they were almost bankrupt. They were going in for emergency measures, but since then they took some steps, and in the last 3-4 years from 2009 onwards they have done exceedingly well. And we discussed in the last session that how they have diversified, how they have brought in this growth from two types of diversifications. One which was related, that means in pressure cooker they brought in different new types, and we also discussed how they learned from their previous mistake when they introduced that modern pressure cooker in 2004, which failed at a time when they were selling about just a million pressure cooker. They had to recall almost 300,000 of pressure cooker. So, it was a big time problem for them. So, from that they learned that they had some issues with respect to their channel, and they had also issues with respect to education and training for their own sales people, their channel partners, and in the process they needed to train the customers. They also needed to establish a new image that they were not just a cooking vessel, but they were part of the customer's lifestyle, and that in that process they had to address a new emerging high growth market segment, which basically meant young couples, upwardly mobile couples, and they did some study and understood that in this kind of market segment even the men participate in cooking, and they are not actually well trained as cooks. So, therefore, they need easier interface, and they need easier to use, and so they came up with this new product, which was a pressure cooker that you could put inside a microwave called MicroChef. You had to do some studies and present that how would TTK go about doing market research, and you were supposed to investigate that what are the kinds of questions we can ask, what are the kinds of questions we can't ask, what is a good design for a survey, what is not so good design for a survey, and so on. And we will see some of your work shortly. But before that we will discuss some of the core concepts and good methods of doing market research. So, the market research, what is the meaning of market research? So, what is written in this definition? This is from the American Marketing Association's definition. Incidentally, whenever you have any doubt about a particular terminology, then of course, you can go to Uncle Google and Auntie Wikipedia, but it is also very good to visit the website of American Marketing Association, because they have some widely accepted definitions given for different marketing terms. So, what is
systematic design, collection, analysis and reporting of data and findings relevant to a specific marketing situation facing the organization.
right? So, if you remember, I have often said that in marketing, any question that I ask, the answer usually should start with 2 words, right. What are those 2 words? It depends, which means that in marketing, we have to always look at the context. That is why you see at there are 2 important points made here, that relevant to a specific marketing situation facing the organization, which means market research can be done in different ways, and market research can actually have different sorts of questions, right. Like for example, if you are trying to do market research for microchef, it is quite relevant to ask about the income level of the respondent, because we are introducing a new product which might have something to do with the disposable income of the target customer. But on the other hand, suppose you are trying to find out that what should be the best packaging design for a new detergent powder, or what should be the color scheme or color mix for a new toothpaste which you want to introduce for children. In that questionnaire, asking about their income level has got no meaning, right. So, which means that the context of the marketing situation and the organization, that means the questionnaire or the market research technique that we will be applying for TTK, Prestige, for microchef may have no relevance for P&G wanting to introduce a new shampoo. Or if you actually look at the super shampoo questionnaire, then you will perhaps see there that the demographic questions are far fewer there. Why they are far fewer in the super shampoo case that we discussed?
It can be easily affordable.
No, because the entrepreneur there had already decided that he wants to develop a shampoo for the rural market, and also for a certain type of customers, mainly I think young women or women of a certain age group, right. Which means that those decisions have already been taken. Now, if you want to do further research that whether it should be in a 10 milliliter pack or it should be in a 5 milliliter pack, whether the pricing should be 5 rupees or 3 rupees or 1 rupee, you are trying to determine. So, the market research itself has different levels, and certain questions are very relevant at a certain particular level and may be completely irrelevant at a certain other level. And also, as I discussed before, that your questionnaire has to be crisp. You cannot have 35 questions for a which we call a random survey or a probabilistic survey. You understand? Whereas, if I am doing a focus group survey, suppose I want to do a survey consisting of that what is the best design for this MBA 639 course, right, and I have to ask the 12 of you. In that case, it is I can actually ask 50 questions, right, because there is some kind of mutual give and take here, where you will be agreeable to maybe answer 50 questions. So, the specific company's context, the specific marketing problem as a backdrop are very important when we design a market research, which means that we should not blindly dive in designing a questionnaire, because we have to first know what is it that we want to know. That means, our ultimate questions, if they are clear. So, if you remember the Babra-Minto pyramid, right, we are actually working on a reverse pyramid method here. we are trying to first, you must be clear that what are the 2 or 3 central questions that we need to get answered. To find those 2 or 3 questions, we may have to ask 15 questions, because sometimes just one question when we are discussing may be not enough, because it might lead us on an erroneous path. So, we have to ask the question from different angles, from different perspectives, so that we are sure. And then once we have designed that questionnaire and collected the answers, then the next part left is analysis and interpretation of the data. Okay. Now, if we put it all in a nice diagram, then it is no different from our approach that we have been constantly using in this course, which is using the W and H questions, right. That means, what is it that we want to know, and that is actually defining the problem and the objectives. And once you have that, once you know, for example, if you are trying to find out that what is a good new color scheme in the toothpaste market for children, right, then it could be exploratory. But whereas, if whether it should be this microchef should have handle on 2 sides or only on one side, that means we are trying to do a market research from a capturing the voice of the customer to decide upon a design feature, right. At that stage it may be more to do with causal, or we may have to do descriptive and so on. This is actually, we will discuss it in more depth as we go along, or as we look at your own submissions in greater depth. Of course, developing the research plan will depend on budget and the research approach which will come from here, and then that will lead us to the sampling plan and contact methods, etc. So, as you see here, if you if the problem is vaguely defined, then it is better, or the results can have little bearing on the key issues, then you have to choose one type of combination, and in other case it has to be. And of course, I am not discussing too much about how we are going to present the findings, that is a different issue altogether, that has to do with marketing, internal marketing, because the market research results are actually often in a can be an internal marketing situation. What is an internal marketing situation?
Many projects are competing with each other for the resources which are limited.
Very good. Or many times actually market research companies, because in the industry about 20% of market research, I mean taking the whole all types of companies. So, according to a data published by the Indian Market Research Bureau, about 50% of the research is done in house, and about 50%, I mean it can vary from company to company. So, it is given here as 50 to 80% and 20 to 50%. So, 20 to 50% is sourced from outside. Now, when you are sourcing from outside, that means you are a market research company and you have actually done this all this analysis, right. You might have used different kinds of mathematical models, statistical analysis. At that stage, when you go to the client, then this presentation part becomes quite important, right, because you have to establish that what is the and these are some of the cautions, that therefore focus on conclusions or interpretation and not so much on the methodology for that stage. But our discussion is going to focus today more on this part and little bit of this part. That means how do we establish objective, and based on that how do we frame our question here, right. So, usually from British Market Research Association we have this data that what are the different types. As you can see here, the top characteristic is for market measurement. What is the meaning of market measurement? Right. And in total size of the market we have discussed that there are TAM 1 and TAM 2. What are those? Total addressable market, that means what is the total available market. So, there actually we will look at the all India market if we are looking at national level. If we are looking at global level, we may have to look at the possible global market size. And the next TAM is the total addressed market. That is, what are we going to, are we like for example, in case of super shampoo, that entrepreneur was going to launch a shampoo meant for rural women in southern India, right. So, in that case obviously therefore, the available market may be much larger all over India, but the addressed market is confined within South India, that means a geographic boundary, and in that then again it is bound by the demographic selection that person had made. So, market measurement, now obviously why did he choose that southern India might have been chosen because it is convenient, it is lower cost, because it is he is located in Karnataka or Andhra as in that case, and therefore he is focusing on that. But in case of the next part, that means what is the size of the market, therefore he is addressing, how is that determined? Like for example, in Micro Chef, right, this is a cooker, pressure cooker that you can put inside a microwave oven, and TTK Prestige is doing this research, has asked you to do this research. They want you to tell them that what is the market size they are addressing. How will you determine that?
You find out the number of people of the kind that they want to address, like they want to address the young couples. So, you find out through certain.
Where will you find such data?
Maybe the census data, something like Facebook or.
No, not Facebook.
Some market research companies.
Even census, right? The national the Applied Economics Bureau, the national census, these are better reliable, easily available, low cost data that is used by market researchers often, because you could they will easily tell you that state by state, city by city, the number of young couples you can find out. It is not a so you use that. Once you know that what target you have, then you can do that. New product development, concept testing. Now, in the first one you will, how will you do the second part? Concept testing, which means concept testing cannot be done well. This is how you see, you can't ask actually 50 people, because concept testing in this kind of a new product like this new type of cooker is much better done when you observe, right. So, you can see the first one is a quantitative type of research, whereas the second one has to be more a qualitative research. You may actually call in 15 people from the kind of people you want to target, bring them in, provide them the product, let them cook, let it be like a picnic, and in the process you observe, and after the observation maybe you can ask some question, right. On the other hand, suppose you want to find out customer satisfaction at the Z Square Mall. Actually, it has been found that in such experiential research that you want to do, that whether the experience of dealing with the salespersons in a particular shop at Z Square Mall, suppose there is a, you want to do a study, a research about the customer satisfaction level for the different outlets in a mall, or for the same company's outlet, say Pantaloon at 6 different places. So, we often use actually, which is a combination of quantitative and qualitative, and we often actually use a mystery shopper. Mystery shopper means you engage somebody who actually goes and shops, right, and actually that person already has been given some kind of a questionnaire which that person knows that he or she is seeking answer to those questions, and therefore, you can actually, and mystery shopping can be done with the different, it can be either on an agenda based or it can be very open ended and so on. Whether if you are doing media research and evaluation, that means how effective has been a particular ad, then it is normally quite, we use different kind of quantitative techniques. For example, if you want to measure the effectiveness of an ad for the new multi-purpose toothpaste, you know, we now see many toothpastes that are coming in the market which are good for sensitive tooth, good for you know, plaque protection, good for freshness and so on and so forth. So, if you want to find out that what will be the and a new ad has been launched, right, in all the newspapers, okay, and you want to find out that where, how effective has been this ad, where all it has reached, how far it has penetrated in the Kanpur, Lucknow, Allahabad, Varanasi. So, how will you do this measurement? You want to find out the effectiveness of ads on a new toothpaste in 6 cities in northern India. How will you do it? This is very difficult to measure, that whether the ad has anything to do, because what is the purpose of the ad? So, in the IDA cycle, you remember we said that the sequence: awareness, interest, desire and action. An ad in the newspaper is more like spray and pray. It is not going to be, it is very difficult to directly correlate it with the purchase action, but we can correlate it with the awareness and interest, the first 2 stages. We want to understand that whether this ad, the kind of message it has brought, so the copy, the visual design and everything put together, how effective it has been. To do that, what will be, what is a simple mechanism we can do and often used?
Asking people if they know about it and how they know about it.
Like in the super shampoo case, they were asked, like, is this shampoo for your family? That connecting between classes.
That is actually questionnaire and going out to survey. There is a much more simpler, more cost effective method. As I said, sales volume means the last 2 stages. We are trying to understand how effective it is with respect to those first 2 stages in the purchase cycle. So, a very often used technique is, like for example, you know, this famous show Kaun Banega Crorepati, which actually gets all these ads, right. Now, how do they know?
How many people are watching?
No, more than that, the direct measure they have is how many people are calling in to register. You know, they give a very simple question. Like what was the name of the second Pandava brother? Very simple question they will ask, and they will say our portal is open. If you want to participate in KBC, then phone in now or send an email now or whatever it is. Then you can easily understand from the form that people will fill up that where are the responses coming from, who are they. So, you will know that currently as you see in KBC, they are trying to, what is the theme, the difference that you see in the current KBC?
So, it is more targeted towards the middle income people rather than.
More than that, you see every time now they are using a focus on, there is a language shift. Have you noticed the new KBC serial is most of the conversation happens in Hindi. Why it happens mostly in Hindi?
To target the common man.
Not common man, it is being targeted towards tier 2, tier 3 cities, and so those ads therefore that you see in KBC who are sponsoring this program, they are items that are interesting for this target segment. And the advertisers, they want to know that are you reaching my target segments. Therefore, so much money, this crores of rupees that I am paying, right, even though the prize money is 5 crore and every time somebody wins 50 lakhs or 1 crore or 20 lakhs, actually it is peanuts for the organizers, because the amount of money they make from the advertisers every episode will be maybe 100 times of what they will be giving away as prize money in that particular episode. You understand that? But the people who are paying this enormous amount of money, they want to know that whether am I reaching. Okay? And similarly, in print ads, a simple technique to use is to use coupons. You print a small coupon and say take this and you will get 5 rupees discount, right, and that will immediately tell you that where this is coming from, and therefore you can get an effectiveness that how much awareness have you created or how much interest have you, because if somebody brings in the coupon, that is 100% impact of the ad, because you have achieved A and I. And obviously, if the coupon is being used for buying, that means you have taken the person through the whole cycle. So, that means the ad has been quite successful. You understand?
But that also is the same, right, as sales, because it also translates.
Yeah, exactly.
So it may not necessarily, there may be people who are interested and who are aware of the product, but won't take the effort to actually go and buy. As in, so what I'm saying is, isn't this
absolutely. That means what you are saying is maybe 20 people have seen the ad and only 6 have gone to purchase with the coupon, right. But even then, if I can use statistical techniques at that stage, right, and know that if this is my sample, then what is possibly my universe of address. You follow? If I get some feedback, I can always envision that what is the universe that I have been able to reach out to, because because this is conversion. If somebody is bringing the coupon and actually buying, that means it is conversion. So, we can then utilize some percentages that have been actually calculated from some other research, that what is the usual conversion percentage, and then from that we can go back and find out. And the other interesting things we can see is that where are the coupons coming from. Suppose many times such like the idea we discussed about this toothpaste, like it will be mostly a large area rollout. So, a national rollout, you can see from the coupons, when you actually aggregate all the coupons, you can see in which area you made a higher impact. So, how effective was the Hindi ad in the Dainik Jagran, because the coupon will tell you where it has come from, which which media was more successful, which newspaper was more successful, which magazine was more successful as your vehicle. All that will be coming out. So, fundamentally what I am saying is market research has different questions, different contexts at different stages of the marketing effort, and accordingly your questionnaire design has to be changed, and there are mechanisms which you can use to get feedback which will tell you how effective is your effort. Okay. Simple difference is that type of question in a qualitative, that means if you are actually doing a focus group discussion, it can be very probing, I can ask 5 questions. But whereas in quantitative, if you are doing a survey, it has to be very simple, yes, no, multiple options, or just draw a line, right. So, maximum we use the scale of 1 to 5 or something like that. In fact, we do not use a scale of 1 to 10 many times in most cases. So, sample size in qualitative obviously will be small, and in quantitative it has to be large. The information per respondent in case of qualitative, we will get a lot of information from a small group, whereas we will get a large group, but not, as I said, maximum 15-20 questions, right. In this case, the person who is conducting, that skill has to be very high, whereas if it is a questionnaire based, you can just hire young students, they can actually be pleasant only and somehow persuade people to answer, right. An analysis skill of course needs to be high in both cases. This is a subjective, this can be a little bit more objective, but of course these are actually a little bit this objective versus subjective is often contested, that whether just because somebody is answering to a question and there is a specific answer, that is objective. It may not be, it may be that person at that time is hungry, or so if you ask a hungry person question about food or beverage, you will get all positive answers, whereas if that person is at that time unwell, as some of you are unwell, so that person is maybe sick of answering about food. So, it is not always this is too simplistic to say, but maybe usually it is true. And ability to replicate is low in a, because it is a particular setting with a particular group of people, whereas so therefore if you do a focus group study in Denmark, you may not be able to replicate that in Darbhanga, right. So, these things have to be, so here we are looking at more what are these factors in our buying behavior, what are these elements. So, for affective elements we normally go for the qualitative research, for cognitive we can use more of the quantitative. Of course, qualitative research is cheaper, and it is often used at the early stage of concept development or of a product. So, microchef when it is in early stage, when the product itself is getting configured, whether we should have 2 handles, 1 handle, whether it should be 1.5 liter or it should be half liter, or it should be to start with we will have 3 models or 1 model. All of these kind of stages qualitative research is better, because we can get lots of in depth inputs. Okay. So, you ask this question that whether now the KBC is oriented towards the smaller towns, tier 2, tier 3 cities and towns, whether it is because there people have more need of money or they are looking for prize money. The reality is actually not very different from the issue of microchef and TTK, because what was the main problem that TTK had before they started all these new moves, diversifying into new products?
They were viewed as a company that makes only
Yes, and what was the main issue that we discussed in the previous session when we drew this diagram, our very familiar diagram of, right, that when you take an existing product and existing market, after some time you saturate. So, then you want to take it to there or you want to go here, right. So, KBC going to addressing the targeting people from Kanpur or people from Mohali or people from Hardwar, what is the what are they trying to do? They are taking an existing product to a new market, because they have already done maybe several episodes, like I do not know, this is the 6th series or whatever it is, 5th series. So, in the first 3 series, most of the people who came, they came from the metros, right, and it is not that they were any less interested in money, and we had all kinds of people there, right. So, issue is not because they have now found that okay, money is more needed in place Z, it is not that, it is just that all entertainment programs, this is actually what tells you something about entertainment marketing. This is called infotainment, KBC type of program is called infotainment, that means you entertain people through informative products, you know, National Geographic or Animal Planet, they are all infotainment, which is a major new growth area worldwide, because people are also bored with the usual song and dance entertainment. So, there is a people get entertained by brain stimulation. So, that is what these products are like, right. You will see that is why it always talks about knowledge can take you across social barriers. This is a key theme that is being repeated again and again in the, if you have seen the new KBC promo, they are taking it that knowledge can take you across language barrier, can take you across economic barrier. So, they are using taking that, and in the process they are actually very nicely positioning their they are offering as an infotainment product, as a knowledge based entertainment product, you understand. And like all other entertainment, infotainments also after some time they get jaded and they have to reinvent. So, this is a reinvention process of taking an existing product to a new market. Okay.
Lose your existing customer base, if it is more Hindi or localized now, so will there be some people who will be discouraged from watching the show?
But those people are already discouraged, they were no longer watching KBC.
Which is why you had
Exactly, right. And that is the reason why if everybody who could purchase standard pressure cooker in the southern market, they have already purchased. So, the only market you have is replacement market, which is small, you are not acquiring, you are not expanding the market. In this process you will still get some percentage of this and this entire empty canvas of this quadrant, right. So, it is it is a valid strategy. Okay. So, type of market research can be exploratory, descriptive, causal, right. Now, descriptive is often actually is when actually we want it comes at a later stage usually. That means, when actually we have already decided that we want to go in for microchef, descriptive will be telling us that how do we get into each one of the areas where we want to go to. But let us discuss a little bit about, and the early stage of the product, it is exploratory. So, if you see that the super shampoo questionnaire, all the questions if you see, you will find that actually we can derive from that a good descriptive result, that what will be the we can even go into what should be the perfume that we will use with that, what will be the color, what will be the size, what will be the different types of packaging, price points, etc. Whereas in the early stage it can be to find out that whether there is a new shampoo necessary for this market segment, etc. What is causal?
So many times the impact of changing something on the impact on sales or marketing.
Yeah, so causal is very normal, is that how much growth can we expect if we reduce the price by 2 rupees, right. In fact, in your mid semester you had a question like that, that if you give 1.5 rupees more discount to the retailers, how much extra sales can you get? There was of course a twist in that question, because there was a second part to that question, was that will it be a good strategy? So it may not be a good strategy, because we describe the problem that it is actually looking at the retailers within the campus. Now within the campus it may not matter, because the total market available, the elasticity may not be very high with respect to, but of course 1.5 rupees given to the distributor may actually encourage them to more push. So if there is no elasticity in the pull, then you have to use the elasticity in the push. That was the discussion which was expected. So causal is therefore related to this kind of cause effect relationship. This is another simple understanding, that how we can determine that if the market size is small, right, like for example fan bearings that are used in ceiling fans or table fans and so on, right, ball bearings usually, and the market size is small. What does that mean?
Total value of the product that is sold in a given time is small.
Or it could be actually the market that you can address may be small, and the profit margin per unit may be. So you may be a local small scale manufacturer located in say Patna, and you have therefore a certain number of fan manufacturers in and around you. They are the people who are going to buy, and you may not be able to sell to the fan manufacturers in Bombay, because your reach may not be there. So in that case, so it is not universally true, but taken a particular situation, suppose you have therefore a small market to address, and why it is small? Because there may be only 3 manufacturers of fans in Patna Ranchi area, right. In this case, your market research cost will be more than the benefit, because it is actually, there is no point in here conducting a survey or doing a focus group, because you can simply gauge. So in B2B markets, that is why often, even when it is a large market, because you can actually the customers well, and your demand is always derived demand, right. That means if you are making bearings for motors, so then your customers will be motor manufacturers, and therefore the total number of motors, if they are that market grows, then only your market will grow. Whereas in case of a say new brand of multigrain atta, the market size is large, even though the profit margin may be low per unit, it is beneficial to do the market research, because the benefits will be more than the cost, right. In the same way, the market size is large, the profit margin is large, and it will be B. But whereas it is in tabletop CNC machine, it may be difficult to say whether B will be greater than C. Why is it so?
Because
Tabletop CNC machine is purchased usually where?
by the businesses for
No, CNC manufacturers will make tabletop CNC. These are small CNC machines. designers or labs like IIT labs, right. So, it is a very specific market. So, it may be same as this one. So, then therefore, it may be not, it could be if it is a product which can be, if there are many engineering institutions who can afford it, then it may be the B will be greater than C, otherwise not. These are some usual pitfalls, and we will just now see whether your answers actually fall in this category, or that means, but in case of we do not have problem with this, because I have already given you the problem, right. It is in designing the questionnaire often we actually make mistakes, and we will just see what kind of mistakes are usual. These are some literature you will find that the question sensitivity in the question, that means there are some questions where people may not be interested to give proper answer, or it may be offending. Like if you ask somebody how many times you eat in a day, to some people it may be an offensive question, right, and so on. So, cultural issues, repetition, the way you ask, all of these are possible issues to be considered. So, normally you need to train the people, you need to pre-test the question. That is why we actually, it is called the validating the questionnaire. So, like in MicroChef, suppose you are a company and you have done this. So, after you design the questionnaire, you will not straight away go and start using the questionnaire. You will normally ask some experts and test the questionnaire, that how good it is with respect to realism, ease of completion, comprehensiveness. The comprehensiveness actually, therefore, if you actually put these two issues together, then we come back to our MECE. That means your questions should be, because you only have 15 questions to ask. So, it is absolutely it will be not intelligent at all to repeat. So, mutually exclusive and cumulatively exhaustive, this is what we are trying to find out. That is why we should not repeat, and we should try to be as comprehensive as possible. But remember, comprehensiveness does not mean that, for example, if you want to find out that whether what is the color combination of toothpaste which will be most liked by young upwardly mobile population, it may not be very at all relevant to ask, are you married? In fact, these days it is not correct to ask anybody about are you married at all. In Western countries you cannot ask that, it is in fact maybe illegal also to ask that are you married, because it may be a discriminatory question. Okay. So, I will use this example. So, this is a questionnaire for an airline, right. So, look at the questions. What is your total income per year? Are you an occasional or frequent flyer? Do you like this airline? How many airline ads did you see last month compared to this month? What are the most salient and determinant attributes, or do you think that it is right for the, so maybe immediately after this diesel hike or fuel hike, etc. Diesel of course is not relevant for airlines, but so let us look at these questions. What is your total income to the nearest 100 rupees, if you ask? Sometimes questionnaire questions are done instead of this, what is your total income per year, if you say what is your total income to the nearest, and then the person may not even know, and also you do not need to know that, right, or people may not be keen to reveal income that accurately. So, that is why you will often see most of the income questions are usually given on a wide band, 50,000 to 1 lakh, 1 lakh to 2 lakhs, and that sort of thing. And this is a very important question, that you should never begin with a personal question, This is a typical flaw in many marketing questionnaire at the student questionnaires when I discuss, that it starts with what is your name, what is your father's name, what is your religion, what is your caste. Now, for example, obviously religion and caste are totally irrelevant for this airline questionnaire. And if you spend time on those sort of questions, you are actually not getting answer to the main research objective that you have. You follow? Are you an occasional or frequent flyer? What is wrong with this question as mentioned there? Because all the words used in marketing research questionnaire should be such that it elicits facts, not emotion. Very important. Focus on cognitive inputs and not affective inputs in a survey questionnaire, because for affective we will normally go to qualitative research, ethnographic research or focus group and so on. You understand? So, observation, discussion, these are okay for most used methods, but to use that, because if you put in a questionnaire what is the meaning of occasional and what is the meaning of frequent. So, for him the frequent means maybe twice in a week. Now, you can apply this question that are you an occasional visitor to Z Square Mall or a frequent visitor, right. So, to some students here on the campus, frequent means going there every day, or to some people it frequent may mean once a week. So, it is, these are actually all, therefore, it will not elicit correct, it will be, you say I am a occasional. What do you do with that answer? Because you are trying to find out maybe the total number of footfalls expected from IIT Kanpur to Z Square Mall. So, you need numbers that can be multiplied by the total number of students available here who are prospective visitors to the mall. Do you like? Similarly, like is a very relative term. Again, it is not a fact eliciting question. How many airline ads did you see last summer? So, there is even the what is summer, that itself may be is not a very well defined, right. For us the summer may be the semester break that we get between two semesters. For some other people maybe the summer goes till end of August, whereas our summer ends in end of July. You understand? So, similarly, what are the most salient and determinant attributes? I get many such questions framed, because we are from IIT and we are very knowledgeable people, and so we ask this kind of very gambhir questions. So, this is also, or this kind of question has gotten is another very wrong, because what is wrong with this question? No, it is actually you are already pushing the guy. Do you think it is right for the government to tax air tickets and deprive a lot of people of the chance to fly? So, you are already kind of brainwashing. So, you are already using a lot of bias into framing the question. So, you want people, that is why many times the output from market research gives completely wrong answers, right. New products particularly. I think did I tell you about this famous market research done for automatic washing machines, right. So, the answer that we got was that the all India demand was some 50,000 units, right. This was the early stage when 1985-87, when washing machines were not so, and the answer was 50,000, and then came Videocon, and they actually just had some good technology, good product, and their collaborator Sanyo. So, they just and they sold 50,000 units in less than 3 months, and that too only in northern India, right. Because for all you know, the market research questionnaire might have been asking people, because that market research company recommended that the most effective model will be semi-automatic. So, if you ask your question that do not you think a semi-automatic washing machine is better than an automatic washing machine because it is cheaper, then the person will have no other option but to say yes, and then you can conclude that 89% people said that they prefer semi-automatic. So, it may appear as a very gospel truth, because we are from IIT and we love statistics and we love percentages, but the question framing can lead us to a completely wrong answer. So, let us now look at the answers that we have received from you on issue relating to. So, this is what I was saying, market research has often led to wrong conclusion, and let us now see how you guys have done it. So, this is one set of response coming from 3 of you, and in this, what products do you prefer for fast cooking? Can we improve upon this question? Is this question at all necessary? So, fast may be a right. What is fast for me may be not at all fast for Rishant. So, we have problem with fast, and we may have problem with this question itself, because we are already trying to do for what? We are trying to do a thing for microchef. What do you cook in a cooker? I mean, we may change it. What would you cook in a microchef, or what do you use your pressure cooker for? We can reformulate it, but this is I mean, I do not find of course meat and fish in this, but this question may be valid. Why?
Because in the northern markets, they were not using that heating for cooking for rice, and so the demand was less for the pressure cookers. That's why.
So, that means if the feature can be brought in, which is actually the feature of the rice cooker, then it can be quite interesting, right. Anyway, so this is good, but I think we should put here mutton, chicken and so on. Because there is a bias here, a vegetarian bias, which may not be correct for a pressure cooker. From where have you bought your last pressure cooker? Now, this is what is the meaning of a company outlet? So, we can say exclusive showroom, right. Electrical appliance shop. E-commerce is not from a website or so on. Anyway, this is okay. How much are you willing to pay for a pressure cooker? How is this? If you ask this question, then most people will say it should be this, right.
There should be some kind of specification. It has to be a 2-liter cooker or a 3-liter cooker.
And actually, to find out that what is a good price at an early stage, it is quite difficult. It is better to ask for a fact, like you are already asking, where have you bought your last pressure cooker? You could have asked for how much. Correct. And when. So, you are getting a factual answer here, which is useful for you, because if you now say what was the size of the pressure cooker that you bought last. So, then you know that people have been buying 2-liter pressure cooker for X rupees in 2010. Now, this may be a good question for a new company who wants to buy into that, but it is not a good question for TTK, because they are the people who sold. They already know the answer. You understand? So, this question is valid for a new entrant, but it is not valid for TTK. And it is this sort of question will obviously, I mean, I cannot find anybody who will say price is not a concern. This is only maybe people who are, selling this perfume, this aftershave lotion which sells for 22,000 rupees, or people who buy Mont Blanc or such luxury brands, and there actually you will not do a survey. Whenever there is a survey, this is not a valid question at all, option at all. Okay? This is a good question, that what are the concerns before you buy, because here you are getting, but this is a little problematic, because aesthetics, what is aesthetics will, even here actually the economic students will maybe answer differently than the design students, whereas color, etc. maybe. So, this is a good one, this is a good one, this is a good one. You may even like to do some ranking, you may ask them to put in order, right. This is a good question.